Now let's start with the development part of creating a mini version of an e-commerce website using JavaScript's framework called Angular. As you can see, I have the project ready here. Right now I just have the default project that I just newly created. As you can see, the index.html and the app component.html file, it is having the default styling and the layout of application which we get when we create a new application. So now let's run it and see how it looks like. This is how it looks like when we run a default or a newly created Angular application. For styling and using the built-in components and the responsiveness, we'll be using Bootstrap library. So let's install that first. Here I will run npm install bootstrap to install the Bootstrap library inside this Angular project. Now, in order to use this Angular library, we'll have to include path into our application. So let's do that. I'll go to the styles.css file and will import its path in it so that it is globally accessible to us. So I have imported it, and let's check whether it is working or not. So I'll maybe at the end I'll add a new element here, that is a button with class btn. Here I am using the shortcut in order to create a button element with some styling to it. So here it will be btn success, and now I can give a title to it. I have saved it, and let's see how it appears. So as you can see, yes, our Bootstrap is working and we have a button from Bootstrap styling. Now, before starting with our project, let's discuss what will be the features that we'll be implementing. We will be having two pages. One is the home page and second one will be the cart page. Home page will be displaying all the products that we have. That is, a user will be able to see all the products, their details. In addition to that, there will be a add to cart button which will add that product to the cart. Now there is cart page where user will be able to see all the products which user just added into the cart. Plus, if they have added the product multiple times, then it will also display the quantity of that particular product. As there will be a count of the product, so user will also be able to see the subtotal for that particular total. So let's assume that a product with price 20 and a count of 5, the subtotal would be 100. And if they have other products as well, then we will also display the subtotal plus a definite amount of delivery charges, and then the total, the major total that will be there. So this is what we are going to build today. Let's proceed with it. In order to have the segregation for the pages that we'll be creating, the services that we'll be having, and the models for the product and cart, let's create some folders. So under our main app folder, we will be creating 3 folders. One called models, second one called services, and third one called pages. In addition to that, I also have the assets folder here where I have created two folders already, which is miscellaneous and products. This is having some predefined images, and there is one miscellaneous also where I have one more image. When we'll be using this, I'll show you what these images are. Now proceeding to this, we will have our pages. So as I discussed, and we'll create two modules for home and cart. We'll be going with modules so as to separate out the functionality of home page and cart page, and also we will be implementing the lazy loading so that home page is only fetched when it is required. And now changing the directory to home, I'll create a component called home. I'll use a flag called flat so as to have all the files inside my home folder only. So as you can see here, home.module.ts is being created, but the other component files will be created in this folder only. Now following up with the same, I'll create cart module and cart component. Now in order to access these pages, we will have to update our app routing module so as to get the routes for them. As we can see, we already have a variable for routes of type routes. We will proceed with adding the objects in it with path property, giving it a name home. Then as I told that we'll be implementing the concept of lazy loading. In order to do that, we will have to use load children property of route and importing that particular module. So for home, we'll be importing home module. So this is how we will be importing home module. So we'll have to mention the whole path of it. As you can see through the IntelliSense, I'm also getting the whole path of home module. Similarly, we'll just do the same for cart. We'll just update the path and the name of cart module. Now as we have two routes, we will add three more routes in order to deal with other situations. For example, path here, what if we have no path mentioned in the URL? That is, if there is only the domain name and no path given. So what we can do is we can redirect the user to home page. We'll just copy and paste that one, and in case if someone types the domain name slash any other path which is not mentioned here, it will again redirect them to home page. In order to detect that whether that particular path is mentioned there or not, so for that we will be using two asterisk sign in order to detect that. So now we will also add the paths in the card module and home module. Here again I will create routes, again path property. Here we won't give any path, we'll keep it empty. And here it will be component name. So we are getting some error here. Let's read out this error. The path string is not assignable to type routes. Okay, it seems to be correct only. So as we can see that there is error. Now that error is due to this square brackets which I have added mistakenly. So it will be like this. It is of routes type, and in here an array of these objects. Now we need to import the router module and we need to specify these routes which are used. So we are using for child here so as to include the routes for the router module. We'll again do the same for home page, that is in home module also we will follow the same approach and we will try to just copy paste it there. We will import the router module and add result one. So let's test this out. So as we see, if I just don't give any route name, we will be redirected to home page. And in case if we give some wrong route name which is not present in our application, it will again route it back to the home component, as you can see.